Okay, temperatures are up. Oil temperature will come up in a minute. Pressure's good. Ready to go. Fuel pump flaps are set. Instruments on the green. Air is clear. I'm not off by Alpha. I'll book the takeoff. Stick forward. Traffic Murray Bridge, Deborah 8606, line up and rolling 01, Murray Bridge. Traffic Murray Bridge, Deborah 8606, downwind 01, number 2, Murray Bridge. Murray Bridge traffic, Deborah 8606, departing downwind 01 on climb 2500, tracking southwest, Murray Bridge. Well, today I thought I'd do something a little different. It just seems that unfortunately the coronavirus has taken over our lives. Understandably, it's not the nicest thing for a lot of people. Social isolation, of course, is paramount to safety for us all. However, the lovely part about owning your own aircraft, as I'm fortunate enough to do, is that I can fly solo. I don't still enjoy the sky. So this morning I looked at the weather, and the weather tells us that there's quite a severe bundle system coming through this area over the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, and bringing with it, thankfully, a lot of rain. So I thought, well, I'll get in while I can and have a fly. So this morning I'm once again heading to Aldinga. It's about the only place that we can get to where we can get a lovely coffee. Unfortunately in Australia we don't get too many places we can go for the $100 hamburger, so a coffee is going to be. Most of the flying schools have all shut down now. Obviously flying dual is a dangerous thing. One never knows who's going to have the virus next, but at Aldinga the coffees are still available, and so long as you use sanitation and have your coffee outside and not amongst other people, no reason why we can't fly today. So that's my plan. I hope you just come with me and enjoy. It's only a short run. It's only going to take us 20 minutes, 15 minutes actually, according to the GPS, to get from Murray Bridge to Aldinga. So come with us and enjoy the ride. Just looking ahead, I can start to see a build-up of some clouds coming. Going to be a nil factor for us today, but definitely that weather system is definitely on its way, and I'll be well and truly on the ground. In wishing I was up here, but being down there. And by the way, I don't know whether people realise it, but obviously if you're watching this, you must be a subscriber. And not only subscribe, but hit the little bell button alongside the subscribe button, and you'll get an advice whenever I send up a new video. They're always aviation related. Sometimes training, but of course training has ceased operation now for the time being until the coronavirus epidemic disappears. But also down below in the More section, you'll find there's a link to a newsletter, an aviation newsletter. Now I put this newsletter out normally once a month. I'm planning during this pandemic time to put it out twice a month, just to give people something to do. But you're more than welcome to subscribe to it. So hit the subscribe button It'll take you to a place where you can join. And again, like anything else, it's free, no charge. But it gives you the opportunity to subscribe, obviously, and then if you don't want to, at any stage you can unsubscribe. I'll never share the mailing list with anybody else. It's a personal list, but more than welcome to get at least a monthly newsletter, and most probably a twice monthly newsletter for the foreseeable future. So enjoy that as well. So we've got rising ground coming up here at the moment, so we're at 2,500. We're outside controlled airspace, so we'll climb up to at least 3,000 feet, just for safety. I've been very fortunate in aviation. I have to confess that sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's good fortune, sometimes it's your own effort. But I've had a wonderful experience over the last 12 or 13 years that I've been flying. It came about really by some amazing circumstances. I adopted the concept of aviation with passion, and along the way you meet some fantastic people, some wonderful people. And again, if you're not a pilot and you think about flying once the pandemic is over, then I highly recommend aviation as a pursuit, be it as a hobby, which it is for me, or if you choose to go the path of an aviation career. The wonderful thing for me has been that I've had an amazing collection of really amazing flying instructors over the years who, I have to say, in that period of time have kept me very safe. It's all well and good to say, you know, touch wood, I'm not a believer in that, but other than breaking a propeller in my very early days of naivety when it came to taxiing on a friend's dirt runway, there have been no accidents, there have been no incidents. Flying is actually a very safe hobby, so long as you obey the rules. And some time ago when I had the autopilot installed, I really have to admit it's my worst time. I departed from Aldinga where the engineer was installing the autopilot, and I took off into marginal weather, and I broke the rule that we all should have, and that is don't go into conditions that are going to lead to IMC, instrument meteorological conditions. And I broke that rule, and I was stupid for doing it, and I admit my stupidity. And I'll insert a little bit of a clip if I can find it, just to show you what it looked like. And it wasn't a very honourable time, and it's not a time that I'm the least bit proud. Fortunately, I could use the technology of the autopilot to basically save my bacon. And what it enabled me to do was hit a button on the dash here called level, and level would automatically keep the wings level, so therefore I couldn't inadvertently turn and start a turn, which most people do, and finish up in a spiral dive and die. And I knew from the information that I'd gleaned before I took off that the ceiling of this cloud layer was at about 2,500 to 3,000 feet. So I knew it'd be safe to get above it. So I made the decision, rather than go down into country that I didn't have a clue whether I was going to contact with the ground or not, I decided that it was safer for me to climb up above and then worry about getting down once I was safely above. So I punched through the sky, I punched through the cloud, constantly watching the instruments, which I'm not trained to do as far as maintaining straight and level flight is concerned, knowing the autopilot would keep the wings level, and sure enough, I popped out the top. And long story short, I found my way home, found a nice big hole to come descend down through, and I lived to tell the tale. But again, it's a classic case of, if you do as you're taught, if you do as you're told, there's a reason behind everything in aviation. And I broke my own fundamental rule, and I've vowed and declared I will never ever do that again. So again in aviation, there's a saying that says, whatever you do...
Kelby 832 inbound from the east at 3 miles and descending through 2,500 keep traffic.
There's a rule in aviation, there's a saying in aviation that says, whatever you do, learn from everyone else's mistakes because you won't live long enough to make your own. And in this instance I did make a mistake and it was my own stupidity, but I used the technology which I wasn't going to rely on to get me out of trouble. And out of trouble it did. So if that's a lesson for everybody, take heed. Don't make the mistake that I made and go into conditions. It's much better to stay on the ground, ring up a friend or a partner or a wife and say, I'm staying the night or come and get me, because it's much safer on the ground. So not one of my glorious days, but nevertheless, I listened to my previous instructors that taught me well, and rule number one was never ever panic. Panic is not going to fix the day. It'll lead to errors of judgment, and you will make mistakes that you'll regret afterward. So if that's a lesson for everyone, hopefully that's today's takeaway. Do not fly in marginal conditions. We're not trained for it, we're not licensed for it, but if you do find yourself in that situation, don't panic. And we've definitely got some winds coming in now. The GPS is indicating 32 knots from the west, nearly on the west, so that's obviously the cold front coming through, which we're going to experience in 3 or 4 hours time. So I'm already in the front, if you will, of the front. Traffic, Jabber 8606 is 10 to the east at 3000 inbound, estimate circuits time 27, Holdinga. Some beautiful cloud formations starting to build up now, but these are the formations that in a couple of hours would catch you very quickly as we try to get over this rising ground, these hills. At the moment quite safe, we can zip on top. In fact, I most probably will sit on top of them going home. But within a couple of hours they'll be so thick that you won't be able to see your way through them and therefore become very dangerous. And because the wind is coming this way and we've got a 27 knot wind, and as we go over these hills we're going to get caught in turbulence here, rising air, creating mechanical turbulence.
Holding the traffic, Jabberoo 4941 is clear of all the runways. Holding the traffic.
They look so harmless, don't they? Let me assure you, they're not. Autopilot off. We don't want that controlling things now. Here comes the turbulence. Very common on this airstrip, particularly with the westerly. There it is there. This means we have to keep a little more alert than normal. Keep an eye out for traffic, no traffic around here that we can see. But that's not the be and all end all, it can be anywhere. Okay, the airfield's in sight. Everything is green and warm. Fuel's on. Overheat's on, landing lights on. Autopilot's off. We're good to land. Belt tight. Turbulent day. Plenty of fuel, half full. Ordinga traffic jumper 8606 joining midfield crosswind 32, Ordinga. Okay, carb heat on. Fuel pump is on. No one around us at the moment, but you can see those clouds starting to build up, so I have to be mindful of those when we're going back. Stage of flap for starters. Ordinga traffic Jabber 8606 base 32 for full stop. Ordinga. We'll go full flap, I think. Definitely a crosswind from the right. Trying to get a stabilised approach, 62 knots. 62 knots is about where I want it. Carb heat can come off. Once we clear these trees, we'll drop down the other side into the runway quickly as we can. Only 10 knots here, so it's not too bad. Just missed those trees. Clear and down we go. And a nice landing. And it looks like the coffee shop's closed.